We're good? Good
Yes.
morning, everyone.
Good
Welcome
morning.
to Ignite Session 6. We are going to talk about delivering your value proposition. My name is Renee Ferreira, who, for those of you who don't know me, I am a broker associate here in the office, been with the office for 15 years as of February.
Woo-hoo.
That's awesome.
So, so deliver your value proposition. I'd love for everybody to unmute yourself and tell me what that sounds like for you. What do we mean by deliver your value proposition?
What
Is
am
it-
I bringing to the table?
What sets me apart from somebody else?
Right?
Mhm.
Okay. So that being said, right? So hopefully you have something to take notes with, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then hopefully you also, if you haven't received it already, deliver your little booklet, deliver your value proposition booklet. It has some of the exercises that we'll be doing in the next hour and a half, 2 hours are in there. So I'm going to toggle back and forth between the slide presentation and this booklet. So if you don't have the booklet, put in the chat box your email address and we'll get that sent out to you very quickly. Does everybody know what I'm talking about with the booklet?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so again, back to our original question. So Tana was saying, you know, what makes you stand out, right? Like I mentioned on the team meeting this morning, there are over 4,000 realtors in our New Orleans metropolitan area. So obviously, you know, we have to differentiate ourselves from those others to win business opportunities for ourselves. So we kind of have to be cognizant of what that looks like, you know, our values and our skill sets in today's environment can certainly help set yourself apart from all the others that are vying for the same business. So, all right, so let me throw this other question out there. So we've gone through, so we're in session 6. What have we learned so far? What are some of the ahas you've gotten from previous sessions that kind of help you kind of go through what we're going through right now? Anybody want to share?
Well, the importance of not only setting our goals, but like being accountable for them, you know, holding ourselves accountable, and then also having someone else who can help us to stay accountable as well.
Very valid point, Tana, because remember, guys, as independent contractors, the only people that are responsible for us is yourself, right? Unless you have somebody holding you accountable at home or somewhere, right now, the only thing holding you accountable is your checkbook, right? So someone to hold you accountable and to make sure we're doing the activities that we need to do to succeed, whatever that looks like for yourself, that's really important in our environment and as an independent contractor. All right, who else? What else are we getting from this?
Reaching out to our clients or our potential clients, letting them know that they're not alone, that if they need us, we're here for them. So offering any assistance that we can, and just basically the human touch.
Ramona, that's huge. And we're going to talk more about that at the end when we visit about our contacts and whatnot. But right now the theme of the day or the theme of the moment is care calls, right? To reach out to people and just kind of check in on them and just creating continuing a connection and a relationship. So yeah, so that's very important. What else?
I would say the gift of time that we have right now to be able to do some things that if under normal circumstances you just would not have the time to do. So appreciating the ability to be able to double down right now, make more contacts, to connect with people that just under normal circumstances we would not contact, just bypassing them in our database and have forgotten about them in a sense. So now we have the time to do that. We have the time to reconnect with those people and do those care calls. I realize now that they really do matter. Just in talking to people every day, you don't know people's situations or circumstances or what they're dealing with at this particular time.
Very true statement. We don't know, we're all going through this together, right? And we certainly recognize that most people are home and they're actually looking forward to speaking to someone, So it's definitely a unique time that we can use to connect with others, right? Come from contribution. All right, so that being said, that's a great lead in. So what opportunities do you see for yourself during this time?
That's a question for me or someone else?
That's for everyone. But yes, we've been doing this for about 4 weeks now. We're in our 5th week of kind of being out of the office and kind of honing in from our home offices. And so what opportunities what opportunities are presented to yourself?
I understand the question, but then I don't understand the question. Say it another way.
Okay. All right. So for instance, one of the ways I'm connecting with others is connecting with other business owners and seeing how their businesses are going and what are they doing to kind of stay engaged and things of that nature. So it's kind of creating an opportunity to engage more with other business owners. So, someone might think their opportunity right now is to learn technology, right? We talked about that about 30 minutes ago, right? So what opportunities are you creating for yourself with the environment that we're in right now?
Continuing training, learning from different resources so that you can better help your client. So as you said, speaking with other business owners, but reading, practicing your technology, whatever it is that you may be. I don't feel very strong in like Zoom or certain apps. So I'm working with them and practicing so that I can become more comfortable with them and use them more going forward.
Perfect. It's definitely a learning opportunity, right, for all guys, right? We're kind of sitting in on some other trainings that can enlighten us and give us, dialogue of the moment or whatever the case may be. So certainly an advantage that we have right now that we can make the most of it and to create opportunities for us for the future. Wouldn't you all agree?
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
All right. So today, guys, our focus is on you. So we're going to talk about how the value you bring to your customers, your community, and your business. We call this your value proposition. And in this session, we will have the opportunity to define and declare what your value proposition is when you bring what you bring to your customers and your clients. All right, so hang on one second. There we go. All right, so, and I know you guys have seen this in every session, but it's really important to visit every day because this is what we should be doing every day. So we need to be growing our business with to lead generate for buyers and sellers, to make seller listing presentations and get listings, to make buyer presentations and get listings, meaning get buyer listing representations, and to preview real estate every day, right? So you're in your MLS, maybe you're driving around the neighborhood and doing some drive-bys and seeing what's available. So this is growing your business. And then we want to run our business. We want to market seller listings. We want to show buyer houses, negotiate contracts, transaction management to closing, vendor management. Again, this is a great time to reach out to your vendors and see how they're doing. Set goals, compliance and risk management. We certainly don't want to get in any trouble. And then attend training and get coaching. Obviously, you're here today, so it's important for you for that. And of course, manage money, right? So this is what you want to take a look at in your business every day and engage, right? I think that the key here is what we're all going through is to make sure we continue to engage. So I looked at the MLS this morning. So just this in this last 7 days. So what I look for is I kind of track New Orleans, Jefferson, and Plaquemine. So in the last 7 days, there's 144 new listings, 128 properties sold, so they're closed, and then 130 under contract. All right? So what we've learned in the last 4 weeks, or in any shift or market change, is that business is never zero, right? So whatever activities we're participating in or being proactive about is going to yield some results for you, right? We just have to stay on top of it. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So this is what our session is going to look like. So we're going to define our value, and then we're going to talk about our aspects of the service, and then we're going to know and state your value, be able to put it down in writing, say it, deliver it. And then, of course, we'll recap and talk about our daily success habits. So we're all good?
Yes.
So this is kind of like our roadmap. Okay, so all right, so as we go through this session, think about the value proposition that you bring, your skills, your values. Kind of jot those down as we kind of go through some of the slides in the presentation. As I mentioned before, I got into the business in February of 2005. Do we remember what 2005 was?
Yes.
What was iconic
Katrina.
in 2005?
Katrina.
Katrina. I was in the business 8 months before Katrina hit, right? I had 6 listings before August. And of course, after Katrina, everything changed. And you guys might think of, there's such a thing as pre-Katrina and post-Katrina. And anything that happened pre-Katrina, it's like didn't even exist. We were in a whole new market, right? So it didn't matter if you were in the business a month, 10 months, or 10 years. We all started from zero, right? After that. And this is kind of like the same thing, right? There's going to be post-Corona and pre-Corona, right? Because a lot of things have changed right now. So I want you to consider what that looks like as you deliver your value proposition now, right? So the skill sets that you learn and what you learn from others and all the trainings and that come from all of this is going to serve you really, really well. So let's talk about your value. We are going to craft a simple and precise description of the benefits for your client. Again, what separates you from the others. We're going to convey, all right, be able to translate what you will do to earn the fee you charge, right? And then number 3 is a covenant that you're going to make your value proposition a covenant between you and your client. Has everybody here ever hear the elevator speech?
The who speech?
Yes.
The elevator speech. So what the elevator speech, if you haven't heard it before, is that you start on the ground floor and you enter the elevator with one person and you kind of introduce yourself, and you got about a minute to kind of grab their attention and tell them what you do, right? Just kind of a quick dialogue to tell them your name and what's basically what your purpose is. So we call that the elevator speech. So I want you to, as we go through this dialogue, think about what that elevator speech can sound like. All right, so now we have our 3 aspects of service. And I think this part is really huge. So our purpose, knowing the underlying purpose of the real estate profession. Number 2, our value proposition, have and communicate a clear sense of how you deliver on that purpose. And then fiduciary, so exhibit a continual drive to put your client's needs above all else. So we're going to go over each aspect individually. All right, so what is the underlying purpose of real estate? Okay, let me see here. All right, I'm going to go back through the book. Give me a second here. All right, so the 3 aspects of service. All right, knowing the underlying purpose of what? So that's what we're going through now, all right? So know the underlying purpose of real estate. Let's see. All right, so for buyers. So our underlying purpose for buyers, it's about finding them the right home at the best price in the right time with the least amount of problems. All right, so think about that for a minute. And then for sellers, it's about netting them the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of problems. All right, so one, we're finding homes. One, we're netting the most money. Time is of the essence for both. And the least amount of problems is also for both. All right, the least amount of hassle. So what happens to your client's buying or selling experience if you don't understand that this is the underlying purpose of real estate? Everybody unmute for a minute. Let's talk about that. So if we don't understand what our purpose is, what can happen?
Becomes a nightmare for the client.
The client suffers.
Confused.
Right? Right? We've I know I've dealt with some challenging, transactions, right?
Yes.
Joan, Kim, I know, chime in, talk about some of the transactions that were.
In other words, you want to address the objectives or answer the objectives that your clients have, whether they're selling or whether they're buying. What are their objections? Finding out what you need to address for them in regards to providing real estate services to them. So that's the way I see it.
Right. Well, yeah, talking about their expectations up front, right?
Right.
Talk about what they can see as a concern
Mm-hmm.
and kind of demonstrate what that can look like. you know, I believe that's why we come from a consultative approach at the beginning of a transaction to help them
Yeah.
understand what that can look like, to kind of nip, right, the myths that they could be thinking right now as they enter into a transaction opportunity, right? Kind of
Right.
addressing those challenges up front can certainly create for a smoother transaction on the back end. So, you know, being a consultant or consultative up front can certainly add to the experience, right? All this is designed to create that ultimate experience. So you create a raving fan for life and have access to all their raving fans, right? That's what helps build this business that we
Yes.
want to. All right, so it's significant that one phrase is shared with buyers and sellers with the least amount of problems. So as a realtor, what are some problems that you have anticipated for your clients, and what have you done to avoid them?
Well, one of the things with buyers is the cost of flood insurance, or areas that, you know, if you have a home that's in a flood zone, making sure that it's built above the base flood and the flood insurance isn't going to price them out of their home.
True state. And that is something that came out significantly for Louisiana as a result of Katrina, right? That's when flood prices changed dramatically, right? And elevation was actually normal language, as you would say.
So basically,
right?
wouldn't you deliver that information to your potential buyers kind of upfront when you kind of looking over the property, its location,
right?
or address it up front to know how much it would, you know, cost? In other words, that'll be information that providing to them up front. Yes.
Yeah. So when we send a property opportunity to a client, first thing we want to know is what's the flood zone, right? Before we even see it.
Yes.
Right. So we can see that if it's, you know, going to be kick them out of their price range or not. So yeah. So uncovering that at the beginning can, you know, create a smoother transaction, knowing they know what they're getting into.
Yes.
All right, we also know that inspections, financing, and appraisal can also kind of blow up a transaction also, right?
Right.
And remember, guys, this is all tied in with our purpose, knowing these things up front, right? Think about how this all ties into understanding what your value proposition is. Are you resourceful, right? Do you help discover what the right answers are, right? So let's go to our value proposition. So let's define this exactly. So this service is a set of benefits to our clients. It states what you do for the client to earn your commission and helps to explain the complexity of what you do. It also helps hold you accountable to higher standards. I think this is huge. This is, if you have a notepad, write down higher standards. One of the things I used to kind of squirm about when I first got in the business is kind of compared to a car salesman. What an awful thought. So, and it was, you know, we're constantly learning. We're constantly educating ourselves so we can bring the latest information to our clients. Yes or no?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So as we reflect on this definition, what do you see as the value of your value proposition? Why is it important enough to be included in these three aspects of service? So why do we need to know our value proposition, guys? Talk to me. Unmute yourself.
If we can't communicate to our buyers or sellers how we're going to help them through the process and why do they need us.
Right. Right. Because it's a choice, right? They have choices, right? And if we want to demonstrate our value to them, we have to have a value proposition that they are willing to basically hire us for. Right? Because even though, as much as we want them to sign a buyer's representation agreement, not everybody does. They, they still expect a sense of loyalty. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
So, and by that, by our understanding our value proposition, that portrays to them that why they need us, why they should work with a realtor.
It also helps us. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay. In talking to some new clients, some new leads lately, I spoke to someone just yesterday and she was saying, well, I'm looking and I want to do this, but I don't know what I'm doing. I can pick out a property, but I don't know what's the next step. So that's my opportunity to say, that's why I have a job.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is absolutely. And, a simple phrase of, I will gladly walk you through this process so there aren't any hiccups, right? So it's smooth and consistent and you can rest easy, right? All right, Joan, what were you going to share with us?
Just basically knowing my value proposition of what I'm delivering builds my confidence. And when I'm with my client, I can speak with them in confidence. And when several questions arise, I'm able to deliver the answer in confidence. And also why I'm worth the 6 or 7% that I'm charging. That's my way of looking at it.
Guys, one of the key things I wanted to share as a result of this session is that at the end of the session, you have confidence in what it is you are delivering, right? That you can express that confidence through your dialogue and create opportunities for yourself. That's what this session is absolutely about. So, so we usually have a loose understanding of how we provide our clients with value. It's easy to forget that they might understand very little of what value is. Your value proposition is what you bring to the experience. Your value proposition statement phrases your skills, your expertise, and insights in language that makes them relevant to your clients. For example, so let's say you're fluent in English and Spanish. You may be tempted to simply say, I'm bilingual. And that's true. But does it convey your value to your client? Maybe not. Maybe not. So it's kind of like features and benefits, right? Just like a house has features and benefits. But if the benefits is not really on the wish list of the client, it doesn't really serve its purpose, right? So whatever features that we have as agents, as individuals, we have to make sure that feature delivers a benefit that they're looking for, right? So how does changing the phrase change the client's perception? How would you, so if you were bilingual and you could speak English and Spanish, what would you say to create the benefit for your client?
¿Se habla español?
Sí. Or ask them, would you prefer to, how would you prefer to communicate, English or Spanish? Ask them for their preference.
Yeah, understanding their communication preferences, right, is important for sure. Mm-hmm. What else?
Or with your sellers, if you have, buyers that will be approaching them that aren't comfortable, or they have the money, but they aren't comfortable, or they don't have anyone that they are working with, that you can communicate both English, Spanish, French, Vietnamese, whatever it is, you can communicate to that client.
And that being said, it opens up your buyer pool, right? It opens up the people pool, right? Of pulling in not just one group of people. It could open 2 or 3 different groups of people that can offer opportunity for both the buyer and the seller. Right?
Renee, I can relate to that because I had a couple, and they've been here for many years, but English is not their first language. So of course they wanted to have a realtor that can work with them, but also down the line, even the lender trying to find someone that could accommodate them.
Mm-hmm.
That was a journey. But guess what? I ran into Miss Lilium at the office, and had never met her before. And she gave me like 4 lenders that spoke both English and Spanish. So,
Right.
That worked out pretty well.
Right. Well, it was so from a lender perspective, it was their value proposition, right? Being able
Right.
to communicate and pull these people together to create the opportunity, right?
Yep.
Gives another level of comfort to all that are involved when you can communicate in their language.
So in a moment, we're going to craft our own value proposition. So before we do that, I want to walk through one more final aspect. Functionary versus fiduciary, right? So you may have heard through a lot of our dialogue, we are a fiduciary, meaning, and we said it this morning, people don't care about what you know until they know that you care. From a fiduciary, it's about their interest. It's not about our. Many times you'll hear when you're writing up a contract, the contract is between the buyer and the seller. The contract is not between the buyer's agent and the selling agent. Right? So as a fiduciary, we put our client's interest above our own. So let's go back. What does it say? So as a noun, a fiduciary refers to the person who has a fiduciary obligation. You are your client's fiduciary, meaning you have a responsibility for them. So a functionary is one who completes tasks for the clients, whereas a fiduciary completes tasks and goes beyond by placing their client's interest ahead of all others, even their own. Again, sometimes we got to get out of the way, guys, right? So being a fiduciary is a big deal. It's an honor. It's more important than ever in today's market to wear the badge of honor proudly. So there's going to be some, I don't want to say aftermath, but things are going to be done a little differently probably for a while. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
So helping our clients understand our fiduciary role is a big part of our value proposition. It's caring for them and what that could look like. So, all right, so let's see. All right, let's go back to this booklet for a moment. All right, so know the understanding purpose of what? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ramona, I see you talking, baby. Unmute yourself.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Know the underlying purpose of how you are there to help your client or your potential client, buyer or seller. So understanding what you do for them and conveying that to them.
right? Our purpose as a real estate agent,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
And then our value proposition. Our value proposition of how you do it is how we deliver on that on that purpose, right? And our fiduciary is a continual drive to put our needs or their needs above all else. Okay? So again, this all ties into how you're going to relay your value proposition to your client. All right, so let's go to page 4 in your booklet. And whether you have your booklet or you just have your notepad, I want you to think about this for yourself again as we continue to go through this. What words would you use to describe yourself? How would people who know you personally describe you? And what skills do you have that make you great at real estate? And then what experiences do you have that make you great at real estate? All right, so what, I want to see everybody. Is this everybody? I want to see a show of hands, or I know some of you are on screen only. Is this your first job? Is this your first job? Or did you come from another career?
Hospitality.
Hospitality, okay.
Retail.
Retail,
Mhm.
awesome. Who else? What else?
Retail,
I taught school.
Paralegal.
Okay,
real estate.
who's that? Is there only real estate?
Stephanie.
Banking.
All right,
too.
when I got in 05, this was my second career also, guys. I spent 20 plus years in the financial markets, working in public finance and fixed income. So that's why a lot of you see the numbers is a big deal to me. I can always make the numbers work or help them understand what the numbers look like. So that's kind of what I bring to the table. So, but the point of this discussion is no matter if you've just been in real estate or you've had other occupations, you've probably had transferable skills or experiences that you can use in this environment also, right? So you can use your past experiences and your past values to describe yourself, to learn how others could describe you, and to what skills make you great in this industry, and what experiences you may have had in the past, whether it be retail or hospitality. So sounds like exceptional customer service can come from all of us, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
So let me go. All right. So what we're looking at now is that NAR puts these numbers together every year. And so, whoop. There we are. All right. So NAR puts these numbers together. That's me touching the, sorry about that, guys. Can everybody see that? Probably needs to be smaller.
Yes.
It does need to be smaller? Or can everybody see it?
I can see it.
See it.
Okay, very good. And so what buyers want, right? Buyers want help finding the right home to purchase. That's the big black area over here to the right side of your screen. And the teal part is help buyer negotiate the terms of the sale. In the gray part, it says help with price negotiations. And then in the other darker gray point is other. So again, we're taking a look at what most buyers want from their realtor. Why are we talking about this in our conversation about our value proposition? Unmute.
What's the question again?
Yeah, repeat the
Why
question.
are we talking about what value proposition?
I gather my of knowledge on the information that they're not aware of. And even whether they're new buyers or old buyers, it's just, that's why it's important that we do the buyer's consultation with them, or the presentation, as some people, may call it. I call it the buyer's consultation. And that's upfront, just to eliminate any issues, because they're gonna, in any home buying process or any home buying initiative, you're gonna have problems. And you can't tell a client that you're gonna make it hassle-free. There is no such thing. You're gonna have hassles. We just want to make it as hassle-free as much as possible. So having those conversations on the front end, doing the presentation, having those discussions about the cost of insurances, and now you're talking about with COVID-19, just talking about the credit score now, and how the credit score during COVID-19, the credit score has increased, going from certain situations, FHA from a 620 to now you have to have a 680. Having those conversations up front, because we can't assume that people know all of this information. They don't. That's why they look to us. And of course, yeah, they're gonna go on Facebook. I mean, they're gonna go on social media. They're gonna go on search, but everything. They still want that one-on-one, that personal.
I think Sophie is not on mute.
All right,
Sophia.
so let's see if we can mute everybody.
Yep,
There you
sorry.
All right. Oh. Hang on. Wrong way. All right, so Kim, that leads us into the next slide. All right, so we just went through what buyers want. Now we're going to see what buyers value, right? So what they value is the reputation of the agent. So that's the 31% up in the top right corner. They want the agent to be honest and trustworthy. That's the teal section. That's 19%. And then they want the agent is a friend or family member. So that's the light gray area. So that's 15%. And then the darker gray area is agent's knowledge of the neighborhood. So that's 13%. And other, which is a big part, is 22%. So the biggest component, reputation of an agent, is 31%. So when asked the important factor in choosing a real estate agent, these are the top 5 answers from buyers. So back to our list. Is it here? Here we go. So on page 6 in your booklet, it says what buyers want and what buyers value, and it has their percentage amounts, right? So finding the right home, negotiating the term of the sale, price negotiations, determine comparable homes that are for sale, help with the paperwork, help determine how much the buyer can afford, help or find and arrange financing, teach buyer more about neighborhood or area, right? So, I mean, that some of the tools that we have, being the expert, having the expertise in our neighborhood, it could, you know, again, kick up your value proposition and help find, or help find renters of buyers' property. And then what buyers value is honest and trustworthy, the experience, the agent's experience, the reputation of the agent, whether the agent is friend or family, right? So your sphere of influence is delivering that experience, that exceptional experience, so you can be referred. And then the knowledge of the neighborhood. Again, so that's in both the wants and the value, right? You guys see that? And then agent is timely with responses. Agent seems 100% accessible because of the use of technology like a tablet or a smartphone. Agent's association with a particular firm, and then active in local community, and then professional designations, right? So these are all the things that are highlighted when it comes to a buyer. So now, let's talk about sellers for a moment. All right, so what do sellers want? All right, so they want help. The seller wants to market their home to potential buyers. So that's the black component, that's 20%. So in the pink is help price their home competitively. So that's another 20%, so that's equal. Help sell their home within specific time frame. So that's the light gray area at 19%. Help find buyer for the home. So that's the darker gray. And then help with negotiation and dealing with the buyers. So that's the light blue. And then the other is in green. So again, we've looked at the buyers. Now we're going to take a look at, we're taking a look at the sellers. And then, so now we got, so sellers wants. Now we're going to take a look at what sellers value. Again, just like the buyers, reputation of the agent, whether the agent is honest and trustworthy, or the agent is a friend or family member, agent's experience. So when asked what the most important factors are in a real estate agent, these are the top 4 answers, all right, for sellers. So what are the differences between the buyers and the sellers? Why do you think what do you think the differences are? Unmute and talk to me.
Maybe one has more control of the other, or they may feel like it.
That can have some validity, because sometimes, you know, when we have a buyer for a seller, the buyer kind of dictates how that transaction is going to go, right? By how the inspection goes and how their financing goes and things of that nature. So in a sense, that could be, you know, helping a seller deal with that. Obviously, you know, the reason nobody should want to go as a for sale by owner, right? Because they kind of leave themselves exposed to all those issues that can come up, right? What other differences are there between buyer and a seller as far as their needs? What you got, Kimmy?
Well, I'm thinking, and for a seller, the seller wants to get, you know, the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. They want to get the most money. Whereas for a buyer, you know, they're not trying to buy a house for the most amount of money. They're trying to buy it for the least amount of money.
Right, because that's automatically a conflict, right? That can come up, right? You got one trying to net the most, and you got one trying to pay the least. But between the two of them, they both want the least amount of hassles, and they both want like we were saying, a consultative approach on how to handle all these different issues. So again, I will bring up, how does this all lead into your value proposition? Talk to me on that.
So, so from both perspectives, we as agents, we need to know how to deliver our value propositions to fit the need of sellers, and to fit the need of a buyer. So when we are having conversation with them, or trying to not only just capture them, but do a conversion with them, our conversations kind of sort of are different between a seller and a buyer, and what their needs are. At the end of the day, of course, our intention is to make sure that we not only just we do our fiduciary responsibility, our due diligence, to make sure that we are presenting to our clients the best part of who we are, giving them the best of who we are, and delivering the best that we can to them every day. So it's just a matter of constantly educating ourselves on what we need to do, and constantly just staying in the loop and educating ourselves every day on what we need to do to make sure that we are in the top % of our delivery to our clients every day, so that they can come back.
Right. So great input, Kim. And doesn't matter what the buyer wants and values, or the seller wants and values. The fact is, our value proposition can deliver an exceptional experience to either, whatever that looks like. So having that consultative approach enables us to kind of set up that expectation from the very beginning that this experience hopefully is going to be a little different, right? And we're going to have exceptional care and dialogue with them that's going to guide them and contribute to an overall fabulous experience, right? As opposed to, even if we hit a speed bump, or if we hit an issue, being able to address that in a manner that eases their expectation, even right? Because when we hit a speed bump, they have a choice to either follow through or or leave the transaction, right? And it's up to us, through our delivering our experience, that we can continue to encourage them to follow through with the transaction, so that we can either get them in their house, or as a seller, get them on their way, right? So it can have an effect on either side, whatever way we choose to go. So in the booklet, a client-centered language around a buyer. So what skills do you have, or services do you offer, that align with what buyers want? Think about that for a moment. And then what characteristics or habits do you have that align with what buyers value, right? So the first two was the reputation, and then the being trustworthy. So integrity is huge on both sides, right? And integrity is a big part of our standard, right? The bigger the integrity, the higher the standard. And to me, that is exactly what both buyers and sellers are looking for from us. And then from a seller perspective, so seller language, again, what skills do you have or services do you offer that align with what a seller wants? So netting the most money with the least amount of hassle and the shortest amount of time. All right. And what characteristics or habits do you have that align with the seller's value? Again, the same thing applies. Trustworthy, honesty, and then of course both also are looking for friends and family members to recommend someone. So having a reputation is significant in helping you build your business and your value proposition. All right, guys, give me some. So we've kind of talked about a lot. What are your ahas right now? So we've talked about buyers and sellers. We've talked about our 3 aspects of delivering on our value proposition. Give me some ahas. Unmute yourself.
I see that as the importance of knowing what your buyers want, as well as being able to deliver. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, delivering is key. What else?
Being confident, being confident in the knowledge that you have.
Very important. Yes. Again, I really hope at the end of the session, it kind of, you discover the confidence that you bring to the table. What else?
Knowing the market.
Huge. Again, that was it. That was it at the very beginning, right? One of our tasks to grow our business is to study the market every day. Every day. Yeah. What does that look like? Right? What else?
Communicating with your buyer or your seller on a regular basis so that you know what they're looking for, what their expectations are, and you're able to meet their expectations because you have good communications with them.
Ramona, that's hugely important. One of the things that biggest challenges that both buyers and sellers have or have had with agents in the past is our lack of communication, right? So setting an expectation of when, how often to communicate, how are you going to do it? I'm a fan of text as anybody, but if, the best conversations are by phone or face-to-face, right? Or in our case, a Zoom call or FaceTime or something like that right now, right? So, but communication is still a key to delivering exceptional service to both our buyers and our sellers, right?
Like yesterday, Renee, I got a text message from a real estate agent, and of course her intentions are remarkable and what she's doing, but I personally felt like the message that I got from her should have been a phone call rather than a text message, right? So what she's doing is she's reaching out to other agents because she's got a night nurse mission project that she's working on. I don't know if anybody else got that text message, but what she would like to do is just feed the doctors and nurses who work on a night shift, right? So she's asking for donations and contributions, and of course you will be recognized for your contributions. Me personally, I think the intentions, she means well in what she's doing, but to me that should have been a phone call to me, right? I know you, but I don't know you know you. So you should have, to me, I didn't tell her anything, but I just personally feel like you should get on the phone and call and ask people to make contributions like that. And just, because that could be misunderstood. Like for me, I was thinking, well, I don't mind making a contribution, but at the end of the day, honestly, if you're going to take credit for this, I want to be able to be, kind of recognized. I want the recognition, but then I don't. It doesn't matter to me. But if you're going to, recognize and use that as an opportunity to market yourself, then that's how I took it with the text message. that may not have been her intentions, right? But at the end of the day, just kind of think about it. You need to get on the phone and call people so that there is no disclarity in what, what you're doing and your intentions behind why you're doing what you're doing. Does that make sense to what I'm saying?
Huge, huge, guys. We have to remember
Yes.
a conversation, or 55% of our conversation is on tonality, right? And if we're texting, that's like taken out of the equation completely, right? So it's 55% tonality, 35% body language. And if they can't see either of those, they're relying on words to understand your message. So a text can be completely misconstrued because the two biggest components of communication are taken away, right? So if delivering a message is important, right? Like obviously, a community event could be pretty significant. A phone call could actually yield better results because we get to hear the sincerity or the underlying goal of the event, right?
Yeah, I agree. So that's why, when you think about it more and more, that's why we need to pick up the phone and call people, not send them text messages. Because text messages.
So communication can be a significant value proposition on how you communicate with others, right? In delivering that experience. So that could be a big feather in someone's cap. So who are our competitors? So yes.
Internet. I'd say the internet and social media, because if you've got people that are chatting, a buyer or a seller that's chatting with a family member or reading whatever's on social media to rely on for their information for their for their buying or selling, that's a competitor. Do you understand?
Ramona, you're absolutely right. So whatever people are reading, it's our job to validate that and make sure they have knowledge of the correct information.
Yeah.
Right. That's why understanding our market is considerable also. Okay. So I'm kind of paraphrasing here what's in the booklet because it says real estate has undergone significant changes in the past few years. Well, our real estate business has significantly changed in the last 4 weeks, right? So investors have come in with the intent to disrupt the industry, and they have. So iBuyers are driving down commission prices. We know that there are some independent kind of like discount sellers who are undermining our value proposition by thinking they could do it cheaper. And then some companies are moving towards, there are companies out there who want to eliminate the agent altogether. We've kind of had that conversation in other Keller Williams circles, and thus the reason why we've gone through this technological change is to create even more validity for ourselves also. So how do we counter these value propositions, whether it be a discount brokerage or someone undermining our commissions or thinking they could do it cheaper and quicker and eliminate our position? How do we counter or negotiate that?
Wouldn't that be what our value statement would, because we represent in our statement our value and our commitment to the buyer or the seller for the transaction and beyond. So that would make our value statements very powerful, a very powerful tool.
So yes, and the experience we provide, right? So we know if we provide an experience, we have A, B, and C clients, right? Meaning we have 3 clients, A, B, and C. And we provide an exceptional experience for client A, we provide an exceptional experience for client B, and we provide an exceptional client for client C, right? And so these 3 people know that we can make a difference in their transactions from the experiences that they had with us. And what that enables us to do, or them to do, is the client A, B, and C are going to share their experiences that they've had with us with everyone they know. Right? We believe that we still can't replace the personal experience that a person has, yes or no? You can't replace that with technology.
You cannot.
Right?
No.
We've just said that a text is not as
Personal.
important as talking on the phone, right? It changes the whole experience. So having that one-on-one conversation with someone is certainly more valuable than a text. Yes?
I agree with that, but also if you're dealing with new clients, new leads, you have to meet them where they are. How many people don't take a call from a number they don't know? So what I do is I call, then I text and let them know who I am and what I'm calling about. And sometimes I get a call back, sometimes I don't.
Okay, that's still good. That's still a great follow-up process. So which leads us, so we kind of understand what our competitor is. And our competitor may not be a person. Our competitor could be an experience. Our competitor can be technology, some form of technology. Our competitor could be another industry, guys, right? It's not necessarily in our own industry, right? When you think of strong companies in other industries, who do you think about? When you think of exceptional service or something you frequent often,
So Google.
who comes to mind? Google, right? Who else?
Zillow.
Zillow.
KW.
Mm-hmm. All right. What about Starbucks? What about Southwest? Right? Southwest outdoes Delta and American all day long. Right? And one of their strongest value propositions is 2 bags free. You get that? Right? So there are other companies and other industries that are providing exceptional value, right? And no matter what the size is, their name comes to the top. Okay? So again, our competitor may not be within our industry, but to the experiences that our clients are having with other companies outside our industry. And that's what they're looking for.
I see what you're
Makes
saying.
sense? Does that make sense?
The other companies are giving them a gauge on which to, something to gauge our customer service versus.
Without a doubt. Okay, so Enterprise Rent-A-Car, right? They will pick you up wherever you are. That's huge. It means you don't have to worry about calling a cab or Uber. Okay? Some of the bigger hotel chains, right? The Ritz-Carlton, they know your name as soon as you step out of your car. Right? So it's those other industries that offer something special that we could kind of take a note from. And what can we do special that increases our value proposition to them? All right, and so we've talked about technology. So the great thing about being with Keller Williams is the company is committed to adding to our value proposition. So in today's market, that means investing in technology that propels our business forward. So we've already talked about Command and our KW app. Now let's focus on the tech that affects your clients. So our agent sites allow contacts to search homes, allows agents to create searches on behalf of clients and contacts. Our individual IDX sites create personalized landing pages for your clients that allow them to see activity in specific neighborhoods. And then the KW app, an end-to-end consumer app that uses artificial intelligence, machine learning, and your expertise to communicate, provide transaction transparency, and remains clients of your value well after they've closed on a home. So between our insights, our landing pages, there are things that we can, so we want to use technology that can create an exceptional experience that's tailored just for them, right? So that's how the technology can enhance your relationship and your value proposition to the people that you want to work with. So going back to the booklet, I want to go to, all right, so increase your value with technology. So again, just like someone said before, so we have to attract, right, adhere to where clients are at this time, right, with technology.
They may or may not have a smartphone, but almost everyone has a phone. So that would be your first place to start. However, whatever your client's technology ability is, tailor it to their phone first, and then ask them, where else you can meet them where they are.
Ramona, I've literally experienced this recently. So I have a buyer client who's not real techie, but she's got a new phone. However, so she doesn't have a computer at home. So I have to text her. So I send her properties by text so she can open it up in her phone. So I kind of had to show her how to do that. Right?
Yes.
So right. And for those who do have a phone, might be the first time that they're learning how to FaceTime.
Correct.
Especially in this environment. So they're they don't know about Zoom and all these other virtual platforms, but mostly everybody has some sort of mechanism where you can talk to them screen to screen on their phone, right? So that could be one component. All right. What's another? Give me another technology resource that we can use that would benefit our clients.
Putting your signature on a contract by Instinet.
Yes, huge. Right? So we can't go around, we can't meet them face to face. So having digital signature is critical right now. And showing them how to use that, whether it be their phone. So again, their phone can come in handy. They can open up Instinet or DocuSign straight from their phone. They don't have to have a computer, right? So kind of having some of these technology resources can certainly add to your value proposition And even in this environment, that's even more crucial to, unfortunately, stay away. We can still communicate and get some business done. All right, give me one more. Give me one more technology advantage that we have.
Our lock boxes, if we use them, they allow people to get in, but it also only allows professionals to get in and tells you who it was, when they left, and when they came,
I think that's huge.
and gives you their contact information.
Yes. Right. So you get a notice that someone was there, who was there, and gives you an opportunity to follow up with them. So a lockbox keeps everybody at bay, right? And so we got our phones, we have our digital signatures, and we have our lockbox. 3 important technology components that can add to. Zillow can't do all that. I don't care who you are.
And then for KW agents, we have the command system, right? Which will, if it's like used, it reminds of how often we need to stay in contact and stay connected with our clients. And we can, take notes inside of it. And so when we need to follow up, our clients can be assured that we know what's going on with them, because we can pick up from where we left off based on our notes and our last conversations with them. And they'll know, wow, that's pretty awesome that, you remember all of that. Zillow and Trulia doesn't do all of that for people. So we bring to them a more personal effect in our relationship.
Personal experience. That's what it's all about. Right? It's huge. Command is huge, guys. Every day you should spend some time, whether it be 15 or 30 minutes or whatever you allocate, whatever you time block for yourself, and learn all these different components that can enhance your relationship with all the people that you're either in business with or trying to do business with. Right? And it can establish, increase, and enhance your value proposition to everyone that you come in contact with. So,
Our local.
all right, so let's talk. Yeah, who's that?
Stephanie, just saying that one more bit of technology, the MLS, and getting the word out about new listings, or notifying our clients about the buyers when there's a new listing that meets their criteria immediately.
With that, right. So walk through, again, we talked about this earlier. You can text your, from your phone, open Jizerin from your phone, and then you can send by text the property, the property, right? They can toggle through it and get access to it from that aspect. All right, so now we're going to create your value proposition. And in respect of time and kind of how this platform is being used right now. So I like this. So here's our mind map. So on the page below, I want us to brainstorm what we want to include on our value proposition statement. So here's a few areas that come to mind, right? Your service, your character, your skill, your knowledge, and there's 2 blank lines there. What else can we add to our value proposition? Talk to me. Unmute yourself.
Your sphere, the number of people that you know.
Very good, right? Your community, without a doubt. That could be a huge value proposition, because if you can offer exposure to both your buyer and your seller, that's a huge value proposition. Great thought. What else? One of the things we just spoke of. What's not in there?
Technology.
Technology, right? And that's different facets in that, right? So there's some technological components that you can add to your value proposition. You don't have to be good at all of them, but there might be something that you're more intentional with others that contributes to your representation of a client or a customer. What else? So if you have your piece of paper, if you're taking notes, somebody share with me, or guys, share me some key words that you're thinking about as you think about your value proposition to your buyers and your sellers.
Honesty.
What do
integrity,
those key words sound like?
Honesty, integrity, hardworking.
Right? What
Compassion.
else? Compassion. Compassion is huge, right? What else?
Commitment, loyalty,
Going the extra mile.
Perfect. What else?
patience,
Patience. Patience is huge. Patience is a virtue. Just saying. What else?
knowledge,
Knowledge. Yes. Being in the know every day. What else?
I think I don't know how it fits in, but I'm thinking like digital. That's a part of technology, but I guess I'm thinking digital too.
Right? If you have digital expertise, meaning I could make things more convenient for you. Is that a value proposition? Is that a value add? It would be for me, right? Creating convenience for someone is definitely a value add. What else? What else are you guys thinking?
What about your communication skills?
Huge. How we translate, right? What our dialogue sounds like. You know, we're about to talk about scripts here shortly, but have you ever walked away from a conversation wishing you had said something different?
Yeah.
Yes.
We've all done that, right? So communication is key, right? We just spoke about being misunderstood, right? By communicating through a text rather than verbally, or having someone hear it face value, right? So communication is significant. And communicating often enough. What is too much? What is not enough? Right? So paying attention to how we communicate is a significant value add. What else? Give me one more.
I have it in my mind. I'm thinking of the word. Somebody, I'm writing them down as people are
experience,
Experience, yes, that's a great value add. And guys, because I know some of you may be relatively new. Experience doesn't have to be time, right? Doesn't matter if you've been in the business a month or a year or 5 years. You're learning what's going on in today's environment. Yes or no?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if you're paying attention and knowing what's going on, so the way we've done business 4 weeks ago is different than the way we're doing business today. So again, we're going to have this dialogue for a time to come. It's going to be pre-COVID and post-COVID. And how we do business today is different than what we did a month ago. So experience, what you're experiencing now is going to add value to anybody here moving forward. So whether you're training or learning or participating, and as you talk to more people, the dialogue is going to get easier, or you're going to know better what to say, right? So don't use, experience doesn't have to be about time, even though time can be an advantage for everybody, right?
Right.
So that being said, so there we go. We want to distinguish ourselves. So just like I mentioned earlier from the very beginning of this, there's over 4,000 agents in our New Orleans metropolitan area that we are trying to distinguish ourselves from the others. So value proposition isn't just saying if something deliver on, know that you have to be able to explain your value. How do you apply it? So what kinds of knowledge are you expected to have? What kind of knowledge would truly set you apart from your competition? So as a fiduciary role, what does that include? Being hyperlocal, expert for your clients. You should be able to tell them everything you could reasonably want to know about an area they are about to invest in. So this can include zoning laws, future development plans, ecological changes. All right, right now we have all kinds of changes. You should also have an exercise more general market knowledge. Again, kind of have a peripheral vision of what's going on, not just in your immediate area, but also in outlying areas also. Include what type of market you are in, right? I think we would all agree we're in a shifting market, but how do we know that, right? We compare what's going on. We've already been through the first quarter, right? We're in the second quarter of 2020, hard to believe, right? So we want to kind of compare what happened in 2019 in the same time frame, what's going on now. That's how we can determine if our market's different. And we already know that it is. Where interest rates are, right? Right? So even though the Fed's changed rates, it didn't necessarily affect interest rates or mortgage rates, right? So there were some speed bumps when that first came out. So you have to check with your lender almost daily to see where interest rates are. So you can't assume what interest rates were today that they were 3 weeks ago, or what they're going to be 3 weeks from now. So we kind of have to have those discussions with our lender. So it might be your affiliate, right? The group of people that you trust and do business with. That could be a value proposition of what you deliver to your client. That you have access to all these professionals. So this continues to drive our knowledge and improvement of who we are as professionals. There are also some perspectives that can enhance your value proposition. So we're all learning based, or we wouldn't be sitting on this call right now. All right, so you're always learning what's going on, right? You like being held accountable. So being accountable to your client is a value proposition. Let's see. What we got? All right, so how are we doing, guys? All right, so we've talked about a lot. All right, let's see, wait a minute. All right, one more thing before, oh, here we are. All right, so So by distinguishing ourselves, the next component is creating a stellar experience. So what qualifies as an excellent real estate experience? That's a great dialogue, guys. Let's open this one up.
Least hassle as possible.
And what does that look like? What does the least amount of hassle even look like?
Being prepared, having all your documents, having your MLS, let's say your client wants to look at 3 or 4 houses, you have the listings available for them, you send it to them, but you also maybe have a hard copy if and whenever you're available to meet with them. Or you do, perhaps if you're doing a Zoom call, you would, have the listings up on the call so that you could go through them and the pros and cons for each listing. So being prepared is the answer. And how that looks, it just depends on the client, buyer or seller, and where you are in the transaction. Beginning, you want to keep it as less confusing for the new home buyer or new client as possible.
All right, perfect. What else? That was great input, Ramona. So what else contributes to our offering our stellar experience?
Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, Kim, go
Okay.
ahead.
So for me, the best response to that would be that it comes from our clients themselves. So having our clients, give us feedback on their experiences with us will help us to know, instead of us just saying it ourselves that we gave them stellar experiences, let them tell us how they feel about the services that we deliver to them. Their testimonies are huge, and it means a lot to the next individuals. Mm-hmm.
And
Well, that's right, to absolutely enhance our experience or know what our experience looks like and even distinguish ourselves is our testimonials, right? This is why we're all doing this, providing this, is to be able to offer those testimonials of our value proposition, right?
yes, and getting that feedback along the way. I had a client recently, and we finally got to the process she had looked for a long time. And then while we were in the process, I was feeling like I wasn't quite measuring up, and she felt like I was not giving her enough attention, but she brought it to the forefront. She says, I feel like you just don't have time for me. So we discussed along the way, ways that we could change, or, found out like what she didn't like and tried to correct that. But also the stellar experiences when there is an issue, knowing where to go to find the answer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that being said, so what services are we responsible for?
Customer service. What does the customer need?
And what else? So what else are we responsible for?
To add to what Stephanie said, what the customer needs, and then we need to have the resources to respond to what their needs are. So our resources is what they need. Whatever, all the resources we have at our disposal is what our customers need.
That's exactly what it says, Ramona. It says, what allied resources can you leverage to improve your client experience? Is it staging? Is it landscaping, cleaning, carpet cleaning, home inspectors, movers? So we should also develop relationship with the businesses in our town that might need after they even move. Doctors, dentists, hairstylists, pet services, right? We live in a big military area where people are in and out. So new people come to town, they may need references on who to use for services. This not only enables you to provide excellent service for your clients after they buy a house, it can also serve as a source for referrals. So, let's go back to our guide. So your homework is to write out your value proposition, right? Let's see. So talk to me. So how has your thinking changed over the last hour and a half?
Well, I have to be honest, I'm trying to figure out with all the information that we need to have in our value statement, how to keep that brief. Elevator, you got 1 minute to say, and there's a lot, and you need to compose it into, well, a minute, you could probably get a paragraph, maybe. Speaking it would be, or not. I mean, how long is that? It's a 1 minute, but in terms of if you're
Yes.
writing it, how long what does that look like?
Maybe 30 seconds.
All right, that goes back to this, right? It goes back to what's our purpose? What's our value proposition and our fiduciary? So, right? So it could be 3 words, it could be 5, it could be 2 sentences. Okay? What's our underlying purpose? Your underlying purpose could be to serve. How do we convey that? My purpose is to serve you at my highest ability. And that's my covenant to you. Okay? It doesn't have to be long and drawn out. My purpose is to serve others.
And I think it also, based on whatever skills, what is your value proposition, it will depend on, whether you're talking to a buyer or a seller, because a buyer, has slightly different things that they're looking for. They want to know that you have access, that you know the people that they're going to need for their, once we get along in the process, lenders, home inspectors, appraisers, all of those. Whereas your seller, they may want to know, like, who do you know, how long you've been in the business, how are you going to market my property, et cetera. So I guess you have a core, but you're going to cater it maybe based on who you're talking to.
So if you look at Stephanie, that's great dialogue, guys. If you're looking at your notes, I would circle 3 to 5 words that stand out in your notes that really resonate with you, right? Whether it be communication, whether it be an aspect of technology, whether it be an aspect of service, whatever that might, because it's going to be different for all of us. Okay, and then taking a look at what the buyers and sellers want. They want honesty, they want reputation, they want care, right? Remember, nobody cares about what we know until they know that we care. Okay, so your value proposition should be kind of tied in with your purpose of why you're doing this to begin with. So, and then going back to like the 3 to 5 key words that really stand out to you is where you begin with formulating your statements, whether it be 1, 2, or 3 sentences. You'll get that? And that's how you can really hone in on developing that value proposition, or what we mentioned earlier, that elevator speech that helps people understand what you do and why you do it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Does that help, Ramona? Perfect. Anyone else? All right, so let's talk about, so how will your behavior change as a result of what we spoke about today?
I'll be a little more focused. I'm focused, but this helps focus me even more.
Would you say that this creates an awareness for you about how you provide this service? What
Yes.
that can look like?
Yes, and definitely for me opens me up more to communication, communicating with the client, because that's one thing that I feel I could work on. I'm in constant touch, but I think I could ask better questions maybe so that I understand what the client's needs are better. And this will, by doing this, I think this will help me to focus more on the client. So yeah, that's my aha too, because I really feel this helps me focus.
Great feedback, Ramona. I believe by paying attention to the experiences that we're delivering, and every time we do this, it's going to enhance your value proposition through every client you serve. Would you agree? All right, who else? How are you going to treat this? How are you going to move differently from here forward?
I think this session has helped us to, to learn to know ourselves, know that we do have things we bring to the table. And
Exactly.
That's something that's of value to your client, and being able to communicate that, because as you said, if, why should I use you as a realtor? What's different about you over the, the other 5 people that have called me this morning trying to list my property?
All right, after all this, I hope this gives you confidence in what you're delivering, and that the consumers need us, right? They need us to kind of go through the weeds with them. Rather, again, both buyers and sellers want the least amount of problems. And we know if they go it alone, that's exactly what they're going to get, is problems. Right? So as you think about your value proposition, one of the things I wanted to bring to your attention and helping you discover that, or really hone in on that, is this book I have called The Strength Finder. And Katie will send you a link or more description on that. But what it does is it gives you, by buying this book, it gives you a little quiz, a free quiz that you can take at the end that really hone in on some of your success keywords or what really matters to you. And so it's a really easy read, and it describes all these different keywords like belief and communication and consistency and developer, and a bunch of keywords that can help describe you and hone in on what separates you or makes you special. All right, so real quickly, because we're about to come up on our 2 hours, but I just wanted to touch on, based on what we've discussed and what you've learned in the last 6 sessions. So we should be reaching out, having 10 contacts a day or 10 conversations a day, some form of notes, and previewing 10 homes per week. We could still do that even in our current situation, right? Get out the house, go do some drive-bys, right? That can still be done. You see a new listing that's in your area that's interesting, go take a drive-by, go learn about the neighborhood, right? It's only gonna add to your value proposition. And then lead generate, every day, uncover our motivations, identify any objections, and close deals. So, in the dialogue that we're having today, I know many of you are, what do I say? So if I'm reaching out to 10 people a day, what does that sound like? Right? And so one of the things, or actually a few sentences that you can open up any dialogue with, no matter who you're speaking to, whether it be a family member or a friend or your pipeline, current clients, past clients. How are you? How are you holding up? And to me, that is a great, great line. So if you've been cooped up, or if you've been, so we've, again, in this environment, for going on our 5th week, asking someone how they're holding up is a great question. And it's going to open up some dialogue for you. And then, of course, wrapping that up is, how can I help? So if you hear how they're holding up or how they're not holding up, what is it that you need, or what can I do for you? So, don't want the current situation to hinder you not reaching out to anyone. All right, so the goal is 10 contacts and 10 conversations. And it could be in any mechanism. It could be face-to-face, maybe you're, talking to your neighbor. I've been talking to my neighbors. I'm on my porch all the time. So there's ways to reach out to people without feeling that you're, kind of bothering them, right? So that's why the phone calls or the conversations that we are having during this time are called care calls, all right? Care conversations. Just touch base and see how people are doing and what can you do, right?
Correct.
All right. So what's your homework?
Work on
What you
our
got?
value proposition.
Right?
Working
Take a
on our
look at
value. Yep.
those 3 to 5 keywords that really stick out with you. What else?
Making the calls and the contacts, that screen that you're on.
Right? Just touch base, guys. That's all you have to do. Kind of just check up on people. Say, I just want to see how you're doing. How are you holding up? I think that's the easiest line anyone could say. How are you holding up? Right? What else? All right, guys, just remember, your business doesn't have to stop because of the way things are right now, okay? There's activities, there's people you can speak with and reach out to, and again, demonstrate that you care. And you don't even have to bring business into the conversation. As we've been hearing for the last 4 weeks, we're talking about creating mind share right now versus market share later, right? We're setting you up for future success, whether it be the summer or whatever that looks like. And the more people you speak to now can enhance those opportunities in the months to come. All right, so there's something we can do every day that can enhance our business and enhance our opportunities. Any questions? Is there anything I can do or we can do for you? So Katie will send out a recap. And then the next time you'll see me, I believe is on the 21st, we'll talk about prospecting. Katie, anything you need to share?
Yes. So thank you so much, Renee, for this. You did great. I loved hearing all the feedback from everyone. Just wanted to let y'all know I'll send the book that she mentioned in the email, as well as the Survey Monkey and a few other tidbits. Tomorrow's class is Find and Win the Buyer with Trinice Jefferson. So just wanted y'all to know that. It starts at 10 a.m. Same link, same password. Please share it with anybody you feel would benefit from this as well. Okay.
All righty, guys. Well, guys, thank you for your attention. Thank you for your participation. Again, I know it's hard to kind of sit and kind of think about things for 2 hours, so I respect your time. And go get them, guys. Go develop that value proposition and share it with everyone you know.
Thank you, Renee. It's been
Thank
great.
you, Renee.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Great
Bye,
session,
guys. See you
everyone.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming.